In a philosophical way, when we consider the philosophy of consciousness, there is the primordial consciousness, which is something that is elemental, something that is of earth, of soil, of body, which means it is a consciousness that is not mind created, that pre-exists the mind. And then there is the mental consciousness, which is that separation, that consciousness that is about separation, defining, categorization, linearity, hierarchy. And philosophically, the suffering is located in the separation, the movement of separation from the primordial whole into this intelligence of separation and definition is that movement of separation. And then when we are able to dance these two dimensions, they are two dimensions of the same consciousness. When we're able, it's like the mental consciousness cleaves away from that more whole primordiality. But when we are able to dance the dynamic between the two, then there is a balance. Now this dance, we can say it metaphorically, but in an archetypal tradition, in an embodied archetypal tradition, it literally becomes the dance itself. And it is also about expression. So expression is a very important component in this interplay. It must be expressed, and it must be expressed in an archetypal way, which is where what we might call the imagination comes into play. It is not a mind-led imagination. Rather, it is an imagination that means it can be free from what is known and allow itself to explore the propositions of an archetypal wisdom, which is always radically different than what is a mind-led imagination. And so when we are able to express this dynamic, then there is a balance. It is not a deletion of suffering, neither is it a celebration of suffering. It is just the suffering and the dance. And this word "and" is a really important word in archetypal traditions, because it is not about this or that. In an archetypal tradition, as I have said before in my videos, it is about the "and." So it's the suffering and the dance. And that coexistence is what we are able to then express this experience. Rather than suffering the suffering, we are able to express this experience in a poetic way, which is what I am speaking about, the imaginative way, in a poetic way. It is not in an analytical way, but it is in a poetic way. So when there isn't a possibility of this interplay, and when there is this cleaving or separation happening, there is a sense of betrayal. It's like we betray the primordiality. We betray the wholeness of the primordiality through our impulse for separation, never to return, never to participate in this interplay. In archetypal narratives, this is portrayed as, for example, the relationship between the divine masculine and the divine feminine as the lovers. So the divine masculine is the mental consciousness. The divine feminine is that primordial consciousness of body, of earth, of the cosmos. And when they are in union, when they are loving, when they are making love together, that is the dance, that interplay. And when they separate, then there is this longing and yearning. So it's proposed that if there is what we call this suffering when we manifest or when we are embodied, it is this yearning. It is as if we remember somewhere in our depths, and I call it like the loin longing, the loin, the yoni, which is that depths, the primordiality. For example, in yoga, it could be the first two chakras, although in the dance tradition, which in my view is older than the yogic tradition, you see it as that the lower, the yoni, or the between the hips region, where there is the earth, water and fire, the bowl of earth, water and fire. And this longing for union, for uniting bodily, making love, it's as if we hold a memory of it, this yearning, sometimes which we can't even find anything outside of us. We try and throw it onto objects, onto people, onto purposes, onto meanings, and yet the yearning persists. And this is what in an archetypal tradition is referred to as our primordial yearning, that yearning which remembers the primordial oneness from which this mental consciousness cleaved itself. And therefore, returning to that dance, returning to that lovemaking, is to restore that harmony and that balance. But of course, it is inevitable that there will be the separation again. And this is the reality. So there is no permanent state that is proposed in a tradition. That is why these traditions have dance, which is like the language of transience, so that nothing is the same, nothing remains permanent, but that there will be this constant separating, yearning, longing. And if we have the inclination and the good fortune to be able to turn towards the call of primordiality, the call of the goddess, to recognize that yearning of our mind, which is throwing itself outside, but actually it is for our own primordiality, then we are able to have those moments, that taste of that dance, and at least we know that it is possible to return to that dancing time and time again, to reignite that union again and again.